Hello, my name is Vanessa Ajiman and I am the founder and creative director of Copper Dust. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe and like some of our other videos. Follow us on social media. The handle is Copper Dust LDM. So let's get straight into it. Today I want to say a massive thank you for the love that we've experienced on our YouTube video with African inspired interiors. It's been one of our most engaged videos, so it only felt natural to continue on from that journey and just talk about more African inspired interiors, how you can create it, how you can find designers to get that look. So I'm really excited to talk about that today. And I just want to discuss African interiors inspired by luxury, because this is also a new emerging arena. So in the last video we spoke about just African interiors as a whole. So now I kind of just wanted to dig down a little deeper and see what Afroluxe interiors looks like. So sit with me and let's get into it. So in order to understand Afroluxe interiors, we need to understand the fundamentals of what luxury design actually is. And when you think of interior design or luxury interiors, you think of timeless designs, neutral interiors, soft nudes, warm browns, sumptuous soft furnishings. So to define this style of interiors, it includes customized furniture, window treatments and commission art. So those are kind of the basics that would make up the elements of what I consider to be luxury interior design. So what do I mean when I say curated? Curated means it needs to have a good design that is well thought out and put together. It's completely devoid of clutter. So this could be things are hidden and closed off. So this could be like a seamless wardrobe design, something with paneling, something that's going to be a fitted wardrobe design, and everything in the design is intentional. So when you see it, it has a purpose, it has a function, as well as looking stunning and beautiful. That is what we call curated design. Another thing to consider is material finish. Now, materials and fabrics which are durable, rich in color and texture, almost like a classic mix of patterns. All the materials should add an extra layer of depth. It should be adding something to design and not taking away from something else. So you will find sort of patterns or an eclectic mix of patterns and colors and vibrancy, and everything has been carefully paired together to create this look. Going back much to what I said of creative design, everything is intentional. That is very important in luxury design is attention to detail. It's that level of detail that you wouldn't see on an average design. It's the part where the designer or the interior design studio has gone one step further to really analyze, what does this space need? How do I transform this space to make it intentional? How do I create a space that everything has been well thought out? So this can be accents in color, this can be art, this is just ensuring everything in the surrounding kind of merges together and sits comfortably together. And it's that level of attention to detail that you often find in luxury interiors. You can't talk about luxury interiors or interiors as a whole without talking about the flow of a space. Now that might sound like an airy-fairy word, but it's so important, and it's important that it's well executed. Now when I'm talking about flow, what do I mean about flow? So there needs to be refined elements that naturally go coexistently to another space. So this could be, for example, where you see this the most is in open plan spaces or multifunctional rooms. So it could be one space. So that one space could be the kitchen, it could be the dining room, and it could be a living room. So those three spaces need to slowly interact with each other and turn into the other room. So you almost want it to feel like it's one complete look, but it's its individual character. So you want the dining room and the living room to essentially flow into each other. You want the dining area to flow into the kitchen. And it's that level of consistency and showing the function between those spaces is highly important. Now, with all these elements in mind, So taken from the creation, attention to detail, the flow of the space, the question is, how do you execute this in an African interior? How do you bring everything that we've discussed into an African atmosphere? How do we sample and put together materials and textures? Well, let's get into it and let's get to the nitty-gritty and explain how that works. So for me as a designer, one of my favorite things, or one of the things that I love to explore, is artwork. I feel like artwork expresses the character of the client. It shows a reflection and context of where you are in the world. And I'm a lover and big fan of large, oversized artwork. This could be a portrait, this could be abstract art, this can be on a canvas. And I think in terms of African art, there's so much going on the continent. There's so much mixed media, and one of my favorite things that I personally like to mix is the exploration of wood and carvings. And you can get this large and oversized. There's also woven baskets that I love to use as artwork. So for me, rather than going small and dainty, I would rather go for a large oversized piece that will be like your focal point. That's something that you're honing in. That's something when someone walks in, it's almost like the center of attention. It is the welcoming statement to that interior. So artwork is fundamental in creating that whole Afroluxe feel because it sets the tone for the rest of the space. No way I could talk about Afroluxe design without talking about textures. The continent is brimming with textures. It's brimming with vibrancy. We have Cuban textiles from Congo. You have ashoke from Nigeria. You have kente from Ghana. Woven baskets from Senegal. I mean, I could go on and on. But what I love about the continent is that this can be brought through in a modern, contemporary way. So all of these different textures, sometimes people are like, oh, that's just too much color, or that's too much materials, or how do I make those two items mesh together? How do I bring that all together? So it's about looking at the color palette. It's about understanding, okay, when I'm in the space, how do I want it to feel? Do I want it to feel calm and relaxing? Do I want it to feel neutral? So it's about pairing those colors together and creating a vibe or an atmosphere that you're drawn to. So for example, even with our copper dust cushions, you can see we've got like cobalt blue, but then that is balanced with a nice burnt orange. Similarly, back into the wallpaper, so you find the complements. So the key thing is, for me, I think it's very important to pick out colors, so pick out the hues. So for example, if you see something like brushed brass is beautiful, you can pair that with a burnt orange, or you can pair that with a white tone. And a lot of the materials in Africa, there are a lot of natural woven materials, and you can elevate that with things like such as brass or even mahogany or walnut. There is so much abundance of materials to play with, so I think that is very important. Definitely going to slot in some examples to just show you how you can create these looks and bring these interiors together to create that Afroluxe. Everything doesn't have to be minimal and cold. You can bring in pops of color and still have that nice, relaxing African feel into the space. So color palette is very, very important, and I find it could be like a personal preference, but I find when I'm thinking about African interiors, the natural color palette that comes to mind is warm, earthy tones, almost similar to the mother nature surrounding the spaces. So I'm thinking bamboo, I'm thinking wicker, I'm thinking rattan. They're always very warm, earthy tones, and obviously the sunlight in Africa is different from Europe or different from America, so you have to also take that into consideration. But one thing that is really nice that can introduce almost another layer to a design is bringing in plants. You can bring in a nice, beautiful plant that is indigenous to the country, or if you're not in Africa, you still want to create this luxury feel, you can find a plant that when you look at it or when you see it, it takes you back home, or it reminds you of a time when you were there, or it could be anything. But I think it's really important because what you find with plants is plants can be reflected in everyday colors. So plants are so vibrant. For example, you can have a plant that has green leaves with purple undertones, or reddish undertones, and all of that ties back with Mother Nature, and all of that can be brought into your design. And that really creates a statement and brings in that whole Afroluxe feel with the details. We've discussed how to bring the elements together. We've spoken about color palettes. We've talked about the flow of the space. You're probably sitting here thinking, okay, Vanessa, that's all well and nice, but where do I shop for inspiration? Where do I get these key pieces you're talking about? So I've cherry picked a few brands that I love, but not limited to, just a few. So Eva Sonoke, beautiful soft furnishings, neutral tones with pops of color. Yinka Olori, bold, vibrant, it's like 70s meets African print. And of course we've got Copper Dust, beautiful soft furnishings, handmade lampshades, very unique twist. And then we've got Aga Concept, and what I love about them is that they do the smaller details in your home. So they've got like board games that are, you know, fundamental to Africa, or they've got like kitchen accessories, which is really stunning and beautiful. Another brand that I like is Takura Designs. So they do a lot of furniture, they do wooden stores, they really celebrate the materials that are surrounded by them, so that is stunning. We've got Chrissy Amour, who recently did the London Biennale, really stunning, started off with textiles, works with like a few designers, really beautiful pieces. And we've also got Iliala, which I love because they're known for their armchairs, which I think when you're creating the grand scheme of things, you really want to hone in on the bigger stuff, and sometimes it's difficult to find that when you're trying to create an African inspired look. So that is definitely some of my hand-picked items and brands that I love. So there you have it, a guide on Afroluxe interiors. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please share it on your socials, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook and Pinterest, and of course don't forget to like this video. Thank you.